How the heck are you supposed to handle making progress and track a holiday meal when you're not even the one cooking?
I mean, you don't know what you don't know, right? But there have to be some ways you could find out.
If you ever had questions on how to stay dialed in during those holiday meals, then this edition of the First In Q&A with J&A is for you. My name is Jonathan Montgomery.
And I'm Ann Montgomery.
And we're the co-founders of First In Nutrition.
If you want to learn more about what coaching and community can do for you, head on over to firstinnutrition.com.
And if you're ready to find out how to stay on plan and bring home nothing but pleasant memories from those holiday get-togethers, you're in the right place. Let's get to it. This is a common question, and we've looked at this one before, but it's a good question, and it specifically is kind of relevant to the holidays. The question was asked, how do I track a holiday meal when I'm not the one cooking? And this is pretty common.
Yeah.
Pretty common in the holiday season to travel, to not be at home, to not have the comfort of your kitchen or your pantry or your fridge or whatever it is, and to go out somewhere or go into the home of friends and family and be subjected to whatever they're providing. And, tracking that can be interesting. It can present some challenges, but within every obstacle, there is an opportunity. And wherever there is a will, there is a way. So if you want to track effectively, even when you're not the one cooking, there are absolutely ways you can do it.
This kind of depends on a few things. So as a family, we used to do holiday meals as middle of the day meals. So we were like middle of the day, afternoon kind of people. And it seemed like we tended to eat the same foods around the holidays. Like, I don't remember there being a holiday where we were eating something completely different every holiday and the entire spread was totally different. So chances are, if you're going to somebody's house that you've been to before, if they're your family, it's probably similar foods that you're used to. Now, listen, if you have like, we're going to eat Mexican food one holiday and we're going to have Indian food the next holiday, and that's awesome. But for most of us, that's not the case. So you should have some idea of what you're eating. Do you guys have turkey? Do you guys like ham? My dad used to smoke lamb on some holidays. Jonathan's family does lasagna. What is your holiday tradition? When you're not the one cooking, there are several ways to do it. My favorite way, if I'm not the one cooking, I will straight ask the person what they're making. Like, I will call up Aunt Tina and go, hey, what are you making for Christmas this year? Everybody gets really excited when they're the one cooking. It's kind of a cool question because they're proud of it. They're excited to tell you all of the things they're making. I'm making sweet potato casserole and cherry pie and turkey and green bean casserole. Cool. Now I have a great idea of how I can estimate. That's probably my first tip that I would go with.
I think you touched on something that's kind of cool, and I don't really think about it that often. And that's, how you figure out how you're going to track and handle a holiday meal starts before the meal itself. What Ann just said is when we would go celebrate holidays with our family, it was more of a midday affair than an evening affair. So we have to know that ahead of time. We got to call and find out what time we're supposed to be there. We got to figure out where we're going. We got to have a plan to get there. We got to have a plan to be on time. So we're already in the planning process when these things happen. Is it that much more difficult to reach out and go, hey, what are we having for dinner? What are we having for lunch? What are we doing? The other thing, the component that brings up is knowing what time you're going to eat at allows you to plan the rest of your day around it. So if it's a holiday meal, you still have the day to contend with. And you're going to want to make sure you set yourself up for success in that avenue as well. Here's another little hack. Call and ask what you can bring.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Call and ask what you can bring to help with. And if you're calling and asking what you can bring, whether it's a dish or a component or something like that, now you're on the team. Now you're helping out. And now it's not going to be weird necessarily if you're bringing in some food that maybe could be just for you or maybe could help you rig the game in your favor. If they're making something that you don't know how to track or you don't think you could possibly fit, why don't you offer to bring something for everyone that you know you can fit? And that's a way you can rig the game and stay on track on a holiday meal as well.
One of the other things you can do if you're not the one cooking, sometimes you can offer to show up early and help. Can you show up and help cook? Because everybody loves help. And I know when you're traveling, time is hard. You don't want to spend any more time somewhere maybe than you need to because there are other things at home.
It is family.
Maybe Aunt Tina's a lot to handle for 3 hours, ahead of the actual holiday. But you could do that. You could say, hey, can we come over and help? Can we help set up? Because now you get to see them cooking and you get to see what goes into the meal. So not only are you helping taking some of the burden off of the cooking from this person, you get to watch the ingredients. So you can track them, write them down. I like to take pictures because my memory is not so great. There are definitely things you can do, but offering to help is a solid one for sure.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's upset when there's more hands involved. Now, you can't have too many cooks spoil the broth. Is that what it is? I don't really know how the thing goes. You could have some insert cliche
Too
here.
many cooks in the kitchen.
Whatever it is, man. I digress. The whole point is go and help. And you may see that there's 3 sticks of butter in that green bean casserole, and that might check that one right off your list. But you're also going to be there sharing in the company of your friends and family, which, guys, at the end of the day, that's what the holidays are for. Sharing the company with friends and family does not require you to share the plate. So you can get a little bit more informed or have the ability to make a little bit more informed decision if you do a little reconnaissance and see what's going on in there. The other thing in that regard is when you get the menu sent to you and you start spiraling out of control and you go, oh my God, I don't know what she put in the green bean casserole. I don't know what she put in the cranberry dressing. I don't know what got put in the... Stop. Just stop.
Stop it!
It's not likely going to be that big a deal. You can ask, you can pay attention, you could be like Ann and spy and pull out your phone and set up a drone or a freaking spy cam if you want.
Are you going to get me a drone for the next holiday? Can I do that?
And Christmas is coming. If you want a drone, put it on the list.
Flying through the kitchen.
If you're not that high tech, guys, don't worry about it. There are so many commercially available alternatives for most holiday meals. And, we're from the deep South, but the likelihood of frickin' even our family putting more butter in than Carrabba's is going to go put in,
No.
or
Boston
more
Market
fat
or-
than Boston
no.
Market or Chili's is going to do is very, very low. And the reason is fat's cheap and it's tasty. And that's why those people that are on the 2 for $20s are all about slamming that fat high so you still feel nice and satisfied after you got that wampin'. So we can always find commercially available alternatives of all these popular dishes so we can estimate. Anything from sweet potato casserole to lasagna. And it's not what you do once that determines all of your progress. It's what you do repeatedly and more frequently and every other day of the year. So even if your estimation on grandma's chicken cacciatore is off a little bit, you're still going into it making an earnest effort to get a solid piece of information, and you're basing the rest of your day around that while keeping your goals in mind. And that is going to do so much more good for you than having a neurotic emotional breakdown because you can't control everything that's going on in the meal. The other hack I'll say when it comes to these meals is select foods in larger amounts that are easier for you to recognize and estimate. And the calorically dense mixed ingredients meals, the desserts, the pies, the casseroles, the stuffing, the stuff like that, get smaller portions, especially first. One, it's going to be easier to estimate and you're going to have a higher margin for error the smaller the amount is. And two, you get to kind of try before you buy. You get to kind of sample before you fully commit. And you got to hurt someone's feelings by shoving it off the plate to the dog or leaving it in the trash or going, oh, I got bubble guts. Grandma, I can't eat this. You get to kind of sample it first before you're fully invested. And I think not only does that help you with tracking, it could also help you by not over-consuming, because once you eat through that first round and the satiety, your satiety factor starts kicking in, your satiety reflex, very scientific over here. Once that reflex kicks in, it kind of slows you down a little bit, you can make even more informed decisions about what might be worth it.
That's a good point, because a lot of times we eat things because they look good and they're there. So that sweet potato casserole looks great and there's marshmallows melted on top of it.
Do you like marshmallows?
And maybe there's nuts all on top of it.
Toasted with pecans?
And it looks amazing.
Delicious.
So you take 3 whomping spoonfuls onto your plate, and then you get it on your plate and you realize that somebody mixed up sugar and salt. Like, that's bad, right? Right, that's bad news. Bad news.
Seriously, it will be the worst cake you ever tasted.
Or maybe, I don't know, maybe they burned the sweet potatoes as they were cooking them before they put them in there. Not good. Somebody threw some pepper in there. I don't know. What if it doesn't taste good and it's not worth it? Are you still going to eat all of it and now have to track it and account for that because, why, it's on your plate? Maybe. I don't know. If you're not comfortable scraping the trash or trying to get the dog under the table to eat it. I don't know. But yeah, smaller portions is really smart so that you can figure out, is this really good enough that it's worth spending my calorie budget on today?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the key. Again, ask questions. Everybody, loves to share information. Maybe there's some secret recipes they don't want to share, but by and large, they're going to be cool, explaining what's going on. Ask if you can help. Ask what you can bring and rig the game in your favor. Estimate to the best of your ability. Err on whatever side of the fence of caution in terms of progress you want to make that you're comfortable making, and try before you buy a little bit. Pretty easy to figure out how to stay on track when staying on track is part of the plan. You go in and wing it, you eat 17 plates, you didn't take any pictures, you didn't document anything, and then you wonder how you stay on track. You're already off it, too far gone to even course correct. So hopefully that helps with some holiday planning, some tracking when you're not the one cooking. If you stuck around this far, thanks for hanging out with us. If you like what you heard or think someone else might dig it, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share, or whatever the cool kids say.
If you want to learn more about First In or hear more from our family, you can find us on the socials at First In Nutrition.
And if you're looking for actionable ways to put yourself first, head over to fieldnotes.firstinnutrition.com to join the Field Notes faction for weekly tools and tactics to keep yourself on the path to progress. Because the people that depend on you the most
Deserve you at your best.